McGoovers, and welcome to Mixing It Up. This is where we get to chat with our expert visiting professor, Dr. Georganne Bell of LilaLoa. She's seriously you're like a sugar doctor, like a scientist. She's all kinds of smart, and she's all kinds of awesome and talented.
Come home and tell my family, tell my parents. I want you to tell them how amazing I am.
I will. She's awesome. She's amazing. And I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Again.
I know.
You're my first return guest.
It's my favorite place to be. I'd live here if you'd let me.
Totally. Yeah. It's pretty rad here. So we have some things coming up that are super exciting.
Yes.
And you've been working hard on some projects.
Very secret, top secret project. Should I tell them?
I don't know. You keep them in suspense,
This month, November 8th.
November 8th, really?
Yes, November 8th, I have a book coming out. It's called The Cookie Companion, A Decorator's Guide. It's full of, obviously, cookie decorating, but the amazing part about it is that it has over 30 pages of color charts. So the ratios, and it has light, medium, dark in the same ratio, so you can figure out, and then at the end of it, it actually has color palettes put together. So then you can say,
combinations of colors?
Yes, so I like these colors.
Look how cool these two colors
are.
So
this would be like yellow 5, and this would be probably a green 7.
Nice.
And then you'll just flip to the back to the charts, the ratios, and then you can pick those out and then create the colors that you want just from the book.
That is rad.
So that's my favorite part of the book. And then the third part of the book is a compendium of sorts for cookies.
Ooh,
I know.
Compendium.
It's a big word. So it's a reference format with all of the designs, like the projects, but also things like what happens when oil and royal icing mix together, or what does cornstarch do when you put it in your icing.
Troubleshooting.
Yeah, like techniques, projects, tips.
Okay, I seriously woke up with a thought for you.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out butter bleed forever. You're trying to create butter bleed so you can figure out how the heck this happens.
Can't make it happen.
So you've talked to people who get butter bleed.
Yes.
And you've tried to break down what they do.
Yes.
Have you asked them if they use white food coloring?
Yes, and people who use white and people who don't use white still get butter bleed.
I hate that butter bleed.
So far, I've narrowed it down to people who use old icing get butter bleed more often. And then also randomly, what seems to be the biggest help for icing problems is mixing it. Like you take your water and your meringue powder, or water and powdered egg whites, whichever one you use, and you mix them together until it's frothy, and then add the powdered sugar.
That seems to cut out.
And add enough powdered sugar until it's at stiff peak again. So if you, it's amazing, and that mixing the egg whites to a soft peak before adding the powdered sugar will cut out most color bleed and most crater problems. And then adding the powdered sugar until it's at stiff peak will make the icing not separate as quickly. But butter bleed.
That's just the one unknown, right?
Yeah, still working on it though, don't worry.
All right, so we're doing something a little different in this Mixing It Up. It's a little exciting. Woo! We're introducing the world of periscoping into our interview today. So we're going to have some live questions.
Excellent.
Coming at you. And it sounds like we might have one now, a live question.
First of all, Elle Janglin said that she loves the addition of the color charts into your book.
Yay!
And we've had a couple of people say, what was the name of the book again?
It's called The Cookie Companion, A Decorator's Guide. It's already up on Amazon for pre-sale. Yeah, it won't come out until November, but if you want, you can already put it in your shopping cart. Again, The Cookie Companion, A Decorator's Guide.
So that's the title. And it's almost like an encyclopedia of sorts that just covers everything.
Yes, it's a compendium.
I love it. It's a compendium.
So the idea is that you'll be able to browse through and look at the pictures and see what you like. But then later, when you're decorating, you're having an issue, you're having a problem, you have a question, you can then go back and find the answers to it.
So it's not going to go step by step through a design.
It will.
It will do that too.
So I want to make mermaid cookies. You'd look under M for mermaid, and then it would have the step by step for mermaids. And then if you're I have craters, then you look under C for crater, and you figure out why you have craters.
So cool. So Sweet Charity wants to know if the book will be available in the UK.
I don't know, honestly. I'll have to find out. Currently, all I know, it's on pre-sale on Amazon and I think barnesandnoble.com as well. Oh, and I will be selling it on my blog, LilaLoa.com. I'll have signed copies there. So
Ooh.
if you want to hold out for it until I figure out how to put it on my blog, then you can get it there as well.
So exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. It's like
Me too. I can't
this
believe it's
was
real.
A process, you know, to
Yeah, it's amazing how long like books take from in the making, because it was a year ago this time that I first started it. Yeah.
And you took all the pictures.
Yep. All the pictures,
You
wrote
mixed
everything.
all the colors. Like,
oh
so
my.
you actually have frosting swatches, right? Of like the
Yeah.
actual what it looks like dried.
Yeah, so I would take the ratios, like 2 gold and 1 avocado, and I'd mix it in a bowl, and then I would do like the light version, and then I'd add 2 more drops and the medium version, and then 2 more, and then the dark version. So I'd have these little circles of icing, and
I've seen some of the pages.
I had just like pages and pages of them, and I kept them because they were so much work to to do them out, and then to make sure they were exactly the right color on the computer and when
so
printed.
helpful.
And then a couple of weeks ago, my baby, I look over and she is in my cookie cabinet, licking them all.
It's like those candy dots, like those little
like the
things.
buttons. So she enjoys the book as well.
Yeah,
It's for the whole
fun
family.
Kids and everybody. So another live question. So Georganne wants to know from Georganne. Georganne, just sign your own copy.
using my phone?
Georganne wants to know how she could get a signed copy.
I'm working on putting a button on my blog, and you'll be able to click through and then get a signed copy that way. So we'll figure it out soon, I hope.
That's that'll be rad. I need a signed copy.
Yes.
Okay. So Claudia's Cookies asks if that's why you took surveys is part of the book. It's part of your compendium. If that information went for your book, into your book.
I actually started the surveys before because I just desperately wanted to know why creators, why color bleed, all these things that just seemed like there was no answer for. And what I did is I had over 1,000 people answered the surveys, like how they mix their icing, like what the ingredients they use, the ratios, the proportions. So then I put it all together with 72% of the people who used this method had this problem and 27% didn't. Yeah. So then I thought, well, that's probably the answer. So then I took it in groups and I basically tested the theories. I sent icing out with these methods to different people across different humidity areas in the United States, and then pulled their information back. And it's actually something that I'm putting together. So it will come out, and I'm going to have like a giant blog post about it with all the numbers and all the details. Yeah, it was separate. I did use the information still, like with craters and blotching and like how to get rid of that or help with that. Yeah, yeah, but it was a separate entity to begin with.
That was a project entirely on its own. I mean, a huge project undertaking.
I have to know the answers. I can't just let it go.
Scientist at heart, totally.
I love it. It's true.
So several live questions about butter bleed. Some people have never seen butter bleed, and some people are like, it's the worst thing ever. And I've never seen butter bleed. I've never had it happen. And have you had butter bleed happen?
Well, I've been trying to make it happen.
Right.
So yes, I successfully created it twice.
You did.
I don't get it. I think it's more of a problem in humid areas.
And it's where there's like
warmer.
almost a grease stain.
Yes, that's
looking.
exactly the perfect description of it. So it'll be like a blue cookie, and then there'll just be like a blotch of darker blue. Or white, it kind of turns like a yellow color. Like it's creeping through. And red, blue, like darker saturated colors seem to have it worse. Sometimes if you let it sit, it'll just bleed across the entire cookie and then you'll never know. But sometimes it just like is little splotches everywhere.
I can almost see it being useful in some looks.
Halloween cookies, it'd be
It's
fantastic.
like a creeping black,
And then like a green like blob monster chasing it. Yeah. We'll do it. Once we figure out how to do it, we'll do it.
So Red Rose Inferno, that's a rad name, first of all. They ask, how long have we been cooking and how did we get started? So I think we're kind of the same age.
Yeah, I think so. I started, let's see, oh my gosh, it's been 4 years now. So I've been decorating for 4 years. I was living in South Korea. I had previously been doing cakes, like crazy 3-dimensional, like giant.
Do you have pictures?
Cakes. I do, yeah. I'll send you some.
I know, I want to see
We'll show you some. So I've been doing these cakes, and then I got to Korea, and their ovens. Most people don't have ovens. I was lucky enough to have an oven, but it was this big. My 9x13 pan had handles on the side, so it wouldn't fit in the oven. So I figured cakes were out, and I started making cookies.
So little batches of cookies,
Yeah,
little
like
easy
I
bake
could do
oven
6
cookies.
at a time, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. What about you?
So I started 4 years ago. Oh, is it going to be 5? Is it my 5th anniversary?
flies.
I know, I think it's 5. October, I started making cookies. I wanted a cheap, do-it-yourself favor for my daughter's birthday. And it was like, I'm gonna make a cookie with a little monogram, and it was just such a fun process. It was like I found all kinds of excuses to make cookies for everything, and then it was
I think that's how a lot of people get started, right?
and then
they want cookies,
can you
and
make
then
cookies for me? And then it became, can you teach me how to make cookies? It's like
you should sell cookies. You should.
it's always an accident. I don't know if anybody ever starts cookies on purpose.
I'm gonna start a cookie business.
Whoa.
I mean, hypothetically, it could happen.
Yeah, I guess it would now, but I guess
Oh,
cookies
it's more
weren't.
popular. Yeah.
So when I started posting cookies, then I found out there were all these other people that were doing it that had all these ideas and this whole community, which was
Like
so
all these
fun.
strangers came
Just
together.
all these crazy people with the same,
Like a
obsession
horror movie
as
where
I
we all like
did.
come out not knowing how.
Yeah, and we're just like learning together.
We are.
Yeah. So, and I'd say if you wanted to get started in cookies, there's so much information now that
And a book.
and a book that makes it real easy. Yeah. Man. Claudia's Cookies, or Claudia's Cookies wants to know how you got your name. Was that it?
Yes. I get asked about that a lot. So my blog's name is LilaLoa, and everyone wants to know where I came up with that name, and it's embarrassing.
It's
I'll be honest
rad.
with you. Okay,
I
so
like it.
I was pregnant with my first child, and we were trying to decide what name we wanted. Like, we had a name if it was a boy, but we didn't know if it was a girl. And we're just driving through the sagebrush. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Yes.
And we were thinking up names, and we couldn't think of anything, and I
And
just
you
started.
didn't think of sage? You were like,
Right? Why did I not think of sage? I knew it would be taken. So I was just saying, like, I kind of liked L names, and I was just being a child and saying things like la la li la la lo lo la, really, and then LilaLoa came out of my mouth, and I was like, that's it, I love that name. And my husband was like, that is not a name for a child. And I was like, but it is a name for a blog. So
wow.
LilaLoa was born before my first child.
And was it before cookies, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was when I was doing cakes.
Yeah.
So LilaLoa,
That was the name of the blog.
because I like to talk.
LilaLoa. Duchess Cookie wants to know why there's such a varying amount of meringue powder in royal icing. It's from 5 to 10 tablespoons. That's
Crazy.
quite a big difference.
Yeah.
Have you seen recipes using 10 tablespoons?
I think it depends. It completely depends on the proportion of sugar that you use.
Yeah.
But to have 5 to 10 in one recipe, it's like, well, you can have this much or you can double it. That seems odd.
I know a lot of people have been playing with cutting back on the meringue powder,
Mm-hmm.
and they still get the same results.
Yeah, I didn't realize this, but I use like a very small amount of meringue powder compared
So
to sugar.
how many tablespoons?
So it comes out to about 3 tablespoons of meringue powder for every 2-pound bag of powdered sugar. What do you use?
I use 5 for 2 and a bit pounds of powdered sugar. But I could tell, like, if I'm running out, I've done it where I've not put in the 5, and it is fine.
Do you even notice a difference at all?
No.
You should try this. It's a good
But you know,
experiment.
when something works, you don't change. You're almost superstitious. You're
Because
like,
it's terrifying. Like, what if I
5.
completely mess
Yeah.
everything up this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it doesn't make
So
a
the
huge
answer
difference.
is we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So those were some good questions. There's so many variables when it comes to cookies and cookie decorating that I think your book will answer a ton of those, just to make it easier as people get started, or if they've been decorating for years and have had these problems.
Between Arty McGoo you and the Cookie Companion, I think we've got it covered.
They're set, man. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm
Thank you for inviting me.
Super excited about your book.
Thank you.
I can't wait. Check it out. Say the title again.
The Cookie Companion, a Decorator's Guide.
A compendium.
A complete compendium.
So thanks for joining us today, and join us for after school. We have some fun things cooked up for you.